Am I the asshole for imposing my culture, even though I thought I was just being nice? Even though I, 23 female, am American, my parents are immigrants, and therefore I have a different cultural upbringing than most. One thing that was hammered into my head from a young age was to always bring a small gift when visiting anyone's house. It doesn't matter if it's family or friends, or that one person you kind of know, but don't really like. Bringing something is a must. My BF, 28 male, and I have been dating for almost 4 years now, and since we both work from home he suggested we make dinner with his parents a weekly thing, since we haven't been able to see each other much for obvious reasons. I love his parents, so obviously I agreed. Every week I made sure to bring something small to show my appreciation for them cooking for us, always using my own money, a small bottle of wine, their favorite dessert, some flowers etc., and they always thanked me for it. This has been going on for a few months and absolutely didn't notice anything out of the ordinary until yesterday when my BF and I were preparing to head over. I'd gotten a cute vase of daffodils, since luckily I'd found some in bloom and my BF's mom really loves them, but my BF suddenly got really mad and asked why I kept bringing stuff over every week like his parents were a charity case. Honestly, I got super confused and asked him what the problem was, and that I've always done this with everyone including his friends since we met. That it was a cultural thing, but then he got even madder and told me to stop imposing my culture on everyone, and it's weird since I'm white. At that point I didn't feel like going anywhere with him and just gave him the flowers and went for a walk while he drove over to dinner by himself. After he came home he still had the flowers which he gave to me and told me he was sorry, but his parents really were super annoyed with me constantly bringing stuff over like they can't take care of themselves, and later on I got a text from his dad asking me to not come over for dinner anymore. Now my BF's giving me the cold shoulder unless I give his parents a huge apology, but I really, truly don't feel like I'm in the wrong for trying to be nice to them. Am I the asshole? Quick edit. I didn't realize you could edit posts directly, but I'm in a hurry to convince him to let me go over to his parents' house. I did post a brief update and FAQ in my most recent comment. And now let's see what the Reddit community thought in the comments. Not the asshole at all. And why would you still want to go over to his parents' house if your BF's dad asked you to not come over for dinner anymore? These people are seriously ungrateful assholes, and that includes your BF. What a weird thing for them to get so pissy about. I would leave him and his family behind. You can do better. While not the asshole, don't convince him to let you visit his parents. That sounds ridiculous. Taking a small gift every time you go to someone's home is a very common practice in a lot of cultures. What does being white have to do with anything? Also, the fact that none of them have said anything and then they suddenly exploded on you and uninvited you for something you've been doing for a while is totally weird and signals a failure of communication. I would take this signal of how bad your BF and his entire family are at communicating, cut my losses, and find someone new. Not the asshole. Honestly, I see this as a normal thing, even among people who follow different culture norms. People sometimes bring courtesy items like dessert or drink to a dinner or get together. I would talk to his parents and explain your point of view. Then cut your losses because your boyfriend sounds like a jerk, and if his parents are the same, even worse. Imagine getting mad over this. Cut your losses and move on to someone and their family who will appreciate you. Not the asshole. I would also be surprised if the parents know anything about this. In any case, find out for yourself what is going on. Then, while I hate many on here say break up for small things, break up. This entire thing is just weird. From his reaction to this, if it is even their reaction. This is so weird. It's normal in Europe to bring a gift when visiting someone's home. Wine, flowers, chocolates, completely routine. You're not the asshole and your boyfriend and his family sound weird. I can see bringing a gift once in a while, but every time. I know they are small gifts, but I can see how that could be considered a bit much. I don't believe you were doing a horrible thing, but I think your BF could have just said, you know what, my parents appreciate the gifts, but say it's okay to not bring anything or not every time at least. And now let's move on to the update. Update. Am I the asshole for imposing my culture, even though I thought I was just being nice? First of all, I just want to thank everyone for the overwhelming support and replies on my first post. I'm looking forward to going over to everyone's houses for dinner, and I'll be sure to bring all the things you said you liked. Many flower lovers out there. I'm now also apparently the doll to a lot of hopeful parents that replied as well, so I hope I can deliver on expectations. After my last update, I told my BF I was sick and tired of him dancing around the issue with his parents, and I was going to go over to their house, whether he liked it or not. At this point, I think he realized that whatever he was doing had backfired, so he sat down all angry and told me he'd explain. I sat and he told me that he'd done something very spur of the moment and that he'd texted me from his dad's phone, then blocked the number, but begged me to listen. That he just needed to get his parents off me for a while and to not leave. Apparently his parents had started hinting at him about marriage since my BF, and I talked a lot about it. I fully expected to marry him, as I said in another comment, and was honestly expecting a proposal in late spring, since that's when we met. 4 years dating didn't bother me, but I was getting excited to settle down. However, my BF apparently realized that he absolutely didn't want to commit to anything and wanted to experiment and have fun, since I wasn't being fun anymore. Honestly, that just made me cry, since we were each other's firsts for everything and usually very good at communicating our needs. His grand plan was to get him mad at me, so I would beg for forgiveness, and then he'd only accept an open relationship as an answer. Absolutely brilliant plan, I know. He'd made up his parents getting mad, but didn't expect me to blow off dinner completely, and it's like hitting a jackpot. His words, not mine. He went over for dinner, hid the flowers, and said we'd gotten into a huge fight, but he was going to fix it, but I needed space. After he confessed all this, he said he was very sorry, but really didn't want to miss out on new experiences when he was still young, and would I consider an open relationship, but pretend ours was strained with his parents, so they wouldn't get suspicious. And I laughed. I laughed his ass right out the door and told him absolutely not, and to leave me alone while I packed, because I wanted to have some new experiences too. He never stopped begging me to stay, but I left to sleep at a friend's. After calming down for a few days, I cemented the breakup and finally actually went over to his parents. My ex-BF's dad never even noticed the phone missing, but still apologized, and his mom was a mess. I did and still love them, and will eat dinner there without him as often as I can. I won't lie that I'm sad about 4 years down the drain, but that's life. And if that was my ex's best possible plan, then I dodged the bullet by a mile. And now let's move on to the next story. Will I be the asshole if I ask for the largest bedroom? So, my roommates A, 21 NB, and N, 20 male, and I, 20 female, are all moving in together, them across state, and me across country, and I'm honestly super excited for this, since it will be getting all of us away from our parents. I love them both dearly, and want us all to be happy in the house we are going to move into. I would be putting most, if not all of the money down for the home, since I'm the most financially well off of the group. This isn't a problem for me, because I was the one to bring it up, and assure them I was really okay with it. And I would be on the mortgage, since we plan on living together permanently, and then would be paying rent. However, I'm currently sitting on a lot of anxiety right now, because N asked how the rooms were being divided, and A said that no one would get the masters and we'd all pick between the 3 smaller rooms. This isn't the problem, considering I'm not even sure I would want the master bedroom, but I kinda figured I would be allowed to pick which room I want, or at the very least, be part of the discussion about how rooms would be split up, since I was asleep at the time. Will I be the asshole if I bring this up? And now let's move on the comments. Not the asshole. They decided this without you. This is a major red flag of how the dynamics of the house will be going forward. As person with the most money invested here, you should get the biggest room. Rethink this before you spend your money and have a serious talk to them about it. Good luck. And OP replied to this. So, I know N has anxiety and needs immediate answers, and A was probably just trying to alleviate some of those fears. Set boundaries early. You're making excuses for this behavior now will only set up future disappointments for you later. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If you have a mortgage, it means that you own the home and are free to make the rules. You may want to rent out the master for more money to help you cover the mortgage. You will not be the asshole. If you are fronting the money and your name is on the mortgage, it only seems fair that you get the biggest room because you are financially on the hook. Although, I would be wary about being on the mortgage if they are not fronting a lot of money. Also, I really hope you have given this arrangement a lot of thought and drafted some legal paperwork to protect yourself from any legal repercussions that may come from falling out. And OP replied to this, is able to pay the mortgage/bills. It's entirely a matter of me having inherited money from my grandparents. It is good to work out who has what room before moving in to avoid complications down the road. This should be written down in a roommate agreement along with other rules such as how common expenses like toilet paper are divided, the split of rent, utilities and how chores and food is apportioned. Usually the person with the master pays a little larger portion of the rent, since it usually has an en-suite bathroom. Additionally, you need to specify what happens if you add another renter, since it appears that there are 4 bedrooms. Info. Are you and a couple? For instance, life partners, engaged to married, planning a civil union. When it comes time to sell, how are you going to split the profit? Do you guys have a clear contract on finances in and out? Are you going to take your down payment reimbursement off the top? Honestly, that is even not fair, because you are the one making the purchase even possible. You say you are moving in together, but really you are embarking on a major property purchase, which is way more involved. I'm quite worried how this will go, if it is this worrisome to have these discussions now. It's weird that you are enabling this co-purchase, but yet it was dictated to you which bedroom you're allowed to live in. You guys are all quite young. It's great to buy a property if you can young, but I'm worried you're going to end up stuck or getting a raw deal. OP replied with additional information. A and I are platonic life partners, and our plan was always I would get the larger room until N joined. Do you and A have a contract established about your financial arrangements? You should. And you should be able to talk about how this is bugging you respectfully without it turning into an argument. So A literally did the opposite of what you agreed upon. Just because N came into the situation, this could end badly, but not the asshole whose name will be on the title. Are you and A going to own the house together? Do you own the house? All 3 of you? You may be fronting the down payment, but will the house belong to you, and you're essentially renting rooms to them? Or will you all own the house? It seems like the commentators gave OP a lot of good points to think about. Now let's move on to the update. Update. Will I be the asshole for wanting the largest room? Wow, it's been a long 4 months since I posted that. Thank you everyone who pointed out that it wasn't right to make decisions without me present. I spoke with A privately about how I felt, and they completely apologized and admitted that, while they hadn't meant for their statement to be set in stone, that is, it was more of an option/idea, they understood they should waited for me and would in the future be more proactive about telling N that we would wait for all 3 of us. N has decidedly become a person who no longer want to live with. Between trying to force us to cater to his emotional needs at the detriment of our own, we can't be sad, but he always is, and we were expected to care for him, and expecting us to always be available and act as stand-in parents for him. This coupled with along with some comments about being in a relationship with me despite me being in a relationship with A, made us come to the decision to completely remove him from our lives. And I will now be looking into renting an apartment together before picking a home to live in permanently to get a better feel of the area and better prepare financially. That's it for today. Thank you for joining us. What were your thoughts on today's stories? Be sure to leave them in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe as it really helps this channel grow.